Thank you, everyone, for joining. Looks like we still have some people hopping on the line here, so we'll give it another minute and get started just then. So thank you for joining. We'll be with you in just a minute. Okay, it's 11:01 here. I think we'll go ahead and get started. I do see that there are some attendees still joining. It looks like some people might still be connecting to audio. I'll make an announcement here at the beginning and also at the end that this event is being recorded. So if anything is missed or if you wanted to replay this for any colleagues or anybody else, we'll make this recording available after the presentation. So that it can be shared and the information can be reviewed again. But in the interest of time, let's go ahead and get started. Quick introduction. My name is Sergio Rodriguez, and I'm in charge of the Digital Direct Division here at Lightning Labels. Our group handles everything pertaining to digital experiences, which we're going to talk about today. And I'm excited to speak with you today about intelligent labeling. There will be one interactive slide a little later in today's presentation. So if you'd like to join in, just have your phone out and be ready with your camera. I'll explain to you when we get to that slide, but we will have a small bit of interactivity there. We will have the Q&A session available at the conclusion of this webinar. So if you have any questions, feel free to type them into the Q&A box anytime during the presentation, and we'll get them answered at the end. And once again, for anybody that's just joining, it looks like I still see some attendees hopping on. This event is being recorded, and it will be available at the conclusion of the event. So let's get started. So what is intelligent labeling? Well, the simple answer is it's a label that can be recognized by digital means. By that, I mean by a camera and visually. And it can provide information about the product that label is on. So it's a really, really cool way of using digital technology to get further information about that product. The label artwork itself can be the recognition trigger, and this allows for experiences like augmented reality. I know a lot of people on the call are interested in AR, augmented reality, and that was advertised in the event invite that went out. So we'll be talking about that in detail. The recognition can also be via barcodes, QR codes, which we'll also talk about today, and Lightning Labels proprietary 2D MI mark supplied by a company called iTrace. I do have an iTrace, the iTrace CEO, Mark Manning, on the call with me, and we'll get to him a little bit later today. The 2D MI mark gives you the ability to create marketing and supply chain opportunities by tracking your product from the cradle to the grave with cloud-based solutions. So that 2D MI mark is a super, super powerful tool, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. So what is the purpose of intelligent labeling? Well, for consumers, it allows you to tell your brand story with limited real estate that labels have, especially with the augmented reality experiences I was just mentioning. The labels that you have, the labels that are on your products are very, very small, and you have a very small area that you can communicate information on. This really expands that and makes that label unlimited. Intelligent labeling, it also gives you the ability to connect with consumers on a granular level about your product, which opens the door to things such as supply chain transparency. And it also comes with the added benefits of compliance transparency, especially with regulatory agencies. I know based on the people who are on this call, we have some people in some industries that have to deal with compliance issues, and this type of technology definitely does help with that. So having the ability to connect one specific product label to one specific customer gives you a chain of custody solution that solves a lot of supply chain issues. It gives you the ability to maintain control of your product from the cradle to the grave, with that added bonus of using this ability in marketing efforts. So beyond just the marketing, it does give you control over things like gray market and counterfeiting, OEM manufacturing to control, to make sure that, you know, the manufacturers aren't making more product than they're supposed to. And like I mentioned just a second ago, it helps with product compliance, especially with regulatory industries, because we know dealing with those regulatory industries can be a pain sometimes. And it also helps with batch control. It can help manage defects and recalls, and you know, being able to have one specific label connect to one specific product really does help out with that intelligent labeling and in maintaining control of that product from the entire life cycle of that product. So how is this done? It's all done through a brand management portal that can exist in a custom app or a web-based solution that Lightning Labels can build and manage for you. So it's a central hub, essentially, that handles every piece of this, whether it's the marketing side, on the consumer-facing side, or on the supply chain side. One app basically does it all. So I know most of you on the call are interested in augmented reality capabilities for labels. So I'd like to go into detail about what this type of app can do. And I'm going to concentrate on the consumer side of capabilities first, and we'll discuss the business side of capabilities a little later in the webinar with the iTrace CEO, technical genius Mark Manning. He'll be joining me in just a second. But first, let's go over some numbers on augmented reality, because I think it's important that we all understand how powerful this technology is. Augmented reality spending is estimated to reach $60 billion by the end of this year. Now, I know we had a little bit of a pause with the COVID-19 reality that we all had to live with, but at least personally, I've seen within the past 2 months that the spend has picked up tremendously, and it's back on track to hit $60 billion by the end of this year. By 2023, this is expected to be hit as high as $75 billion in spend. So it is not going away. This is a technology that is being widely adopted, not only by Google and the Android operating system, but also by Apple and the iOS system. And we'll talk about that in detail in just a second. But it is a huge, huge opportunity for everybody out there. 88% of mid-sized companies are already using augmented reality in some capacity, whether it is for marketing or whether it is for those supply chain issues that we were talking about. 70 to 75% of people aged 16 to 44 are aware of AR. I like to mention this. I went with my stepdaughter to go buy a cell phone, and the very first thing they told us was, hey, did you know that this new iPhone can do augmented reality? So it's part of the marketing efforts all the way from the manufacturers. The phone manufacturers are pushing this technology just the same as the companies are that are using it as well. And the huge thing, the reason why AR is so big is you have 2 billion devices available that can run this type of technology. And the slide here says over 2 billion in 2021. I can tell you right now it's already surpassed 2 billion. So this slide is already old from 2 days ago when we put this thing together. There are more than 2 billion cell phones out there in the marketplace that are capable of running these types of experiences. Any cell phone that's been made within the past 4 years can do these types of experiences. So it's super important to have those marketing devices that are in everybody's pocket have this type of technology available to them. So with a custom app, you can do a bunch of different types of augmented reality experiences, like displaying videos. You can use these apps to link to online stores. You can display 2D or 3D assets, whether they're static, animated, or interactive, and I'll show you something here in just a second that talks about that. You can do interactive elements like games, so gamification of labels is definitely something that we're starting to see in the marketplace. You can link your brand to your online presence, so being able to tie it into social media is definitely something that is a huge ability. And like I keep mentioning here, the track and traceability, more on this in just a minute. But let's go into each of these individually and talk about them a little bit more in detail. So the very first thing I'd like to talk about is video. It's our most common request from our customers. It's the easiest to implement, and it's also the least expensive option. So being able to take a label and pop a video on top of it your label then becomes the marker. Your label becomes the recognition trigger that starts this experience. So if you have marketing videos that are already made, the example I like to use is we've done work with wineries in the past where they'll take a marketing video about their winery, and we'll tie it into the label of their wine label. So we can have an app that plays the marketing video that talks about the backstory of their winery that plays directly onto their label. And now we can have these videos play full screen, or we can have them anchored to your label, so it gives it more of a kind of a fun effect. But again, videos, really, really simple to do, especially if you have the videos already available. It's really easy to implement these types of experiences in augmented reality. And you can use traditional video player interfaces. So you have the same things you can do normally: play, pause, rewind, mute buttons you can add in. But the really important thing that I always like to talk about is being able to share this on social media, because if you can have your consumers share the information out on social media, you can have your consumers doing the marketing for you. And it's really easy to add these abilities to share out via social media in augmented reality. This example that I have on the screen here, this is a video that plays on top of a printed piece. This can be done in-app or outside of an app, and I'll get into that in just a minute, but I wanted to make note of that so that everyone was aware. You can display 2D or 3D content on top of your labels as well. So you can take 3D models and you can animate them and learn more about the product, so you can get further information about what it is that you're looking at. You can have the augmented reality app talk about configuration options, so you can go over things like colors and sizes, different things that may be inside that package that the label is on the outside of. And then also things like interactive elements like buttons and links. And like I just mentioned, links out to social media, definitely super important with this type of technology. Again, this is something that can be done inside an app or outside an app, and I'll talk about that in just a second. Gamification, obviously being able to gamify your label, to have it do something fun or interactive is another use of this technology. It works really well with the 2D and 3D animations that I was just talking about on the previous slide. And so if you have something inside your package that the label is on top of, perhaps it's a toy or something that you want to have people engage with, you can have them engage with that product on the inside just by having them take their phone out, point it at the label, and engage with it that way. So you can gamify that type of that label. It gives you the ability to engage with other users, and then most importantly, you can create buzz and brand awareness. And again, tied in with social media integration is a really, really great use of this technology. Speaking of social media integration, being able to link your labels to your brand social media profiles can be done. Now, I know we can do this with just conventional things like QR codes and links to websites, but being able to tie it in with augmented reality gives you the ability to obtain trackable data from that social media engagement. So not only can you find out how many people are actually engaging with your social media profiles, but you can find out how they got there. So if you have an augmented reality app, we can provide information back to you as the customer in the form of analytics. So you can take that analytic data and you can crunch the numbers and see where people are interacting with your product, which locations they're interacting with it, how often they're interacting with it, and how they're talking with your social media channels. So it's another great use of that technology. So I want to get into a little bit of granular detail here. So when you do augmented reality apps, you have two ways of doing it. Lightning Labels, we can create a custom application for you that will allow you to do these types of experiences, but it's not necessary. There is a new way of interacting with augmented reality without an application. Now, this is the point at the beginning that I had mentioned. If you want to interact with this, go ahead and pull your phones out now. What you're going to want to do is open your camera app, and I'll tell you here on how to interact with this. But Android and iOS, they now support a technology called Web AR that allows you to run augmented reality experiences through your phone's mobile web browser. And you need nothing more than a QR code to launch an AR experience. And that's what you're looking at here on the screen. We've created a custom QR code for Lightning Labels. You can see we put the Lightning Label logo in the center there. We've also changed the colors around so it matches. And so you can match the brand specs that you have for your product. Now, what we have here is a Web AR example. It's a redirect of something that was provided to us from Amazon Web Services. We thank them for this example. But if you take your phone out, go ahead and take your phone out, point it at the QR code that you see on the screen, and what you'll have on your phone pop up is you'll see a link that'll come up, and you can click on that link. And what that link is going to do is it's going to take you to a demo page, and in this case, it's going to take you to the demo page of a chair. This chair was rendered in CGI, which stands for computer-generated imaging, and you can place this chair in the real world. So click on the button that says Tap to View in Your Space. This will open up the back view of your camera again, and then from there, you'll see a ghost image of the chair, and the app will look for a flat surface, and it will place that chair on that flat surface as soon as that flat surface is recognized. So whether it's a desk or the floor, that camera will recognize that flat surface. Again, AR, this is something that's integrated into the operating systems of these phones that are out today. So there's no install necessary. This is all inherent in the operating system, which makes it really, really easy for your customers to use. Once that chair is there in the real world, you can pinch and zoom with 2 fingers. You can rotate the image to see different views. Even click the white button at the bottom to snap a picture so you can have that 3D image saved into your camera roll that you can review later. If you click the button at the top that says Object, it'll turn the camera off and let you view the object just in the virtual space by itself, where you can do that same pinch and zooming and rotating. And again, this experience was launched from nothing more than just the QR code that you see on the screen. No app install necessary, very, very easy to do. Just point, click the link, and start the experience. And it's a very, very powerful tool that you can deploy out using very, very limited real estate on the labels that you have. So intelligent labeling and AR, they work really well together. You know, it makes labels interactive, and you can drive action straight from that limited real estate that you have on those labels. And from there, again, there's so many things you can do. You can tap to make a purchase. You can view the information about the product that the label's on. You can watch videos, or again, connect your brand to the social media channels that you've probably already got. And you can obtain that trackable data. You can obtain that analytics through the use of these types of technologies so that you can crunch those numbers and determine what's your next marketing strategy and how best to use that data. You can turn these labels into sales channels, and you can drive measurable results. The really nice thing, and I haven't mentioned it yet, is it's a very inexpensive way to market your brand. The cost to do these types of experiences is surprisingly low, and we've got a nice pricing structure available that makes it on a per label basis. It's very, very easy to digest. The really nice thing about it too is there's no change necessary to the labels you're using today. So if you're printing Lightning labels right now, you're printing labels with Lightning label right now, there's no change in the technology that we're using to print those labels. So the labels you're using today are going to be the same labels you're using tomorrow, and then you can still implement this type of technology. There's no special printing process available. Only the camera is the only thing that's going to look at that label and determine what to do with it. And like I mentioned, you have the ability to do track and trace solutions, which we'll get into in just a second. So I invite you to try it yourself. I showed you the web AR thing on the screen here. Lightning Labels, we actually have our own app that we created for our customers. So I invite you to download our augmented reality app. It's called, believe it or not, just Lightning Labels. It's located in the iOS Apple Store. It's also located in the Google Play Store. So just search for Lightning Labels, install the application, and what you can do with it is you can upload your own artwork, and just like we showed you with that chair, you can have label artwork and you can put it on whatever you want. You want to have it see what your artwork is going to look like on a bottle, you can do that. You want to see what it looks like on the floor or on a desk or on a wall, you can do that with this app. It's a really, really fun way to kind of see what your product is going to look like in augmented reality. You can also tie it in with the videos like I said earlier. So on the screen here, you see this Comrade Brewing Company. If you were to download this app, pointed at that Comrade Brewing Company, you'll see a video come up about this Comrade Brewing Company that we have a partnership with. And then the Lightning Labels logo up at the top. I know it looks a little funny with that reversed white logo, but we put it up there because if you take this application, point it at that Lightning Labels app, you'll see some background information about lightning labels and a video will play. Now, we're not going to have this webinar up, this slide up the entire time. So we did include the markers to download in the application, so you can download them and print them from your device and try these out yourself. Doesn't have to be on the screen like this. It can also be a printout. Anything that the camera can see, remember, can launch this experience. So please download our app, try it out, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on it. So everything I've spent the last few minutes discussing is all on the consumer-facing side of intelligent labeling technology. But intelligent labeling has the ability to step it up to the next level and really help you control products from the beginning of the manufacturing process. So from product conception all the way down to the consumer's hands, we can track that with a track and trace solution, a Lightning Labels track and trace solution. So I'd like to bring Mark Manning on. He is the CEO of iTrace and the creator of this technology to talk about the Lightning Labels 2DMI solution in detail and talk about track and trace solutions that come along with it. So Mark, I'd like to bring you on the call and have you join in.
Thanks very much, Sergio. Appreciate it. Sergio's done a wonderful job showing and highlighting the consumer side of intelligent labels and how they can allow a brand to engage directly with the consumer. Once you start creating an intelligent label, it gives you the ability to generate a lot more information, a lot more data, a lot more visibility into your supply chain, and provides you with the ability to secure your supply chain, your distribution out to retail against a number of different challenges that brands face today. So iTrace has specialized for a number of years in supply chain security solutions, helping brands secure their products from the moment they're manufactured all the way through distribution and out to retail. And the challenges that we help companies with are things like diversion. How are their products ending up in unauthorized marketplaces, also called gray market trading? Parallel trade, how is that product leaving its authorized distribution channel and ending up on eBay, Alibaba, Amazon? And we're not talking about the ones and twos, one or two items here. We're talking about the tens of thousands of items. And it's easy to identify the sellers, but what is the big challenge is identifying how those sellers actually get hold of that product at volume and then sell that into the marketplace, which undermines the pricing structure that a brand has with their distributors and their retailers. The other challenge that we help companies with is issues of third shift or production overrun. That's where you may send a purchase order to a factory, either offshore or onshore. They make the quantity for your purchase order, but they have additional materials and they make a bunch of that product for themselves. Again, shipping that out the back door of the factory, supplying the gray market, and in effect, the counterfeit marketplace. And then helping prevent warranty and return fraud. When these items that have been sold in unauthorized marketplaces or counterfeit items come back to a brand for warranty replacement and return, they can lose millions. In fact, some of the larger companies out there have $1 billion problem with warranty and return fraud. So helping secure that supply chain, secure that product, prevent gray market diversion, parallel trade, and authenticate products against counterfeit. Jump on to the next slide, Sergio. So once you implement a track and trace solution, you gather a lot of data about your production and your distribution. And iTrace with Lightning Labels has generated a dashboard that allows brands to identify and understand exactly what's being manufactured in their manufacturing facilities on any given day, and then track those individual units, individual items, all the way through that manufacturing process, distribution, and out to retail, giving it unbelievable visibility into what is being produced by their manufacturing partners. We have partners who or clients who are manufacturing in China, and in the past, they've told us it's taken them 2 or 3 days and many, many phone calls to get information about what is being produced, what purchase orders are being worked on. With this solution, they're getting the data almost in real time. They have real-time visibility into what the factory is producing, saving them those phone calls and giving them that remote control over what is occurring in the factory. Next slide, Sergio. So as you're looking at securing products, creating intelligent labeling, and providing security labels for products, what you're able to do then is not just secure the actual packaging, the cardboard box or the carton that the product is in, but we can secure all the way down to the individual items. And in this example, there's a tennis shoe that is being secured with a custom label on its shoe tongue label. And that has the iTrace security marker on it that can be read by the mobile applications that Lightning Label are producing. So being able to secure not just the item itself, but the primary and secondary packaging, having the security on the hang tag, and securing the whole production of that product from the moment the purchase order is issued all the way through with an intelligent label to the end consumer, where the end consumer can interactively engage with that product and get all of the information about it. Next slide, please. So iTrace has a unique technology. We can provide solutions that are both overt, meaning you can see them, they can be scanned with any mobile app like Sergio was describing, or very, very covert solutions, and any combination of the two. So being able to provide a covert security marker on a label or a package, as well as on a physical item and a product itself. And we've marked products, millions and millions of products that have gone out there with covert solutions that nobody ever knows about, with marks that are about the size of a human hair across. They're very microscopic, can't be seen, have no impact on the product or the brand. So being able to create these secure covert applications alongside the more overt and consumer fronting engaging applications brings the whole solution together. And because we apply our technology when the product is being manufactured, it secures that product from the cradle to the grave. So you can identify that item all the way through its life cycle. Our technology has a quadrillion combinations per user license key, which means it will never run out of items, even for the largest manufacturers. It's encrypted and secure. And being a proprietary technology, it prevents that mass replication and duplication that you have with barcodes, QR codes, and data matrix when they're used as a security solution. So having a proprietary technology that the brand is able to control themselves, so as only they can create them and only they can read them, is what makes this technology extremely secure. Next slide, please. So we secure the factory, we secure the production. Our technology allows the brand to control what the machines in the factory are producing. So when a purchase order is issued, the factory is able to download a secure license key for their machine that enables that machine to produce just the product that is intended for that purchase order. If they have rejects or loose product, a damaged product in manufacturing, they can request additional license keys from the brand that they download from the portal and enable their machine to produce that additional product. But we control the machines in the factory, and we control them so as they only produce the product that is authorized on the purchase order. When it's met that quantity, the machine will stop until it gets a new or replacement license key. And this is what we do for our European brands with their manufacturing in China, being able to control the process all the way from the beginning of the issue of the purchase order, and then pushing that technology all the way through to the consumer engagement with the apps. Next slide, please. So this is where we go full circle back to what Sergio was presenting at the beginning. Once you have a secure, unique identifier on the product, incorporating that with the labeling technology, now you have an authentication technology that can engage directly with the consumer through the intelligent label and the applications that are being developed around those intelligent labels. So being able to tie not only the security technology, the supply chain security, the production control technology into the consumer engagement and authentication of the product. So as the consumer can identify whether their product is genuine or fake, they can engage directly with the brand and can use the augmented reality applications that come along with having an intelligent label that is connected. And now we can connect every single item to the consumer that is purchasing it. And there's that one-to-one correlation between the item and the purchaser and the engagement directly about that individual product. Next slide, please. So being able to secure, as we mentioned before, not just the primary packaging, not even just the secondary packaging, but the item itself, the actual physical product, and being able to store that information in the database or blockchain ledger that is able to create an immutable record about every transaction that has occurred around that product, including when it was manufactured, when it went to distribution, when it went out to retail, when it was sold. And if the consumer wants to engage with you, even the consumer that is the owner of that particular product at that particular time. Next slide, please, Sergio. So what that does is that gives us a lifetime provenance of a particular item that was manufactured. And we're storing that provenance on a blockchain ledger, and having a blockchain ledger creates an immutable record of the path that that product and that item took from the beginning of its life through to when it was removed from its life, it was disposed of, including every stage of its manufacture, every stage of its distribution, every stage of its retail, and creating authenticity about that product throughout that life cycle. And what's important about this is having a blockchain ledger to be able to secure and create this immutable record creates an immutable database of this information that can be trusted by any user. But having a secure marker on the product securely connects that physical item to that digital ledger, creating that permanent connection between an item in the consumer's hand and the data that is in the database. And that lifetime provenance on blockchain can become very valuable to a brand, because now you're not just engaging with the first purchaser of the product. You can engage with every owner of that product. And I know we talk about this with cars. Sites like Carfax and Kelley Blue Book talk about being able to give you the record of your car. And if we go on to the next slide, Sergio, we can see that the lifetime provenance lets you own not just the primary market for your product, but owning the aftermarket. The brand owns the data and owns the information about that product itself, and gives consumers a reason to connect to and engage the brand, not just on their first purchase, but if that product is sold or resold to another consumer or even gifted. So becoming creating the provenance around the product all the way from the beginning of its life to the end of its life with an intelligent label solution gives you the ability to engage with anybody that connects with your product. So this is going to be great for those kind of brands that have product that has a longer life. I understand that some consumer products, it may not be that, the product has that long a life cycle, but you're also able to, again, not just interact with the person who bought it, but the person it was gifted to, the person who has the product in their hand at any given time. And guaranteeing that product provenance also enables you to meet and be able to provide a blockchain record of every transaction about that particular item for regulatory compliance and reporting, which is very important when you have products that need to be regulated in certain marketplaces. And being able to identify how a product left a particular marketplaces and ended up in somewhere where it wasn't intended to be sold gives you that visibility and that data to be able to meet the regulatory and compliance reporting needs that brands have. So owning that data is something that a brand can do with these solutions. Obviously, the automotive world, they gave over or gave Kelley Blue Book the ability to own all of that data. But other brands can be their own Kelley Blue Book for the data that they're generating about their products and make that information available to their consumers as a valuable way of engaging with them. So I'm going to pass it back over to Sergio to wrap things up here and bring this to a conclusion. And then I think we can take some Q&A. Is that right, Sergio?
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you, Mark. I think that was a great kind of walkthrough. on this type of technology, and I'll just let everybody know on the call here, we've compressed probably 50 slides down into about 10 to talk about track and trace. So we're trying to tackle this, or at least Mark is, from a very, very high level overview of what track and trace can do. We are planning on going into this in detail a little bit later, possibly in January. So we will be setting up a secondary webinar to talk about track and trace in detail. But we wanted to try and bring this to everyone's attention today because it does tie in really nicely with the marketing solution. So although it does solve a lot of those issues that happen when you're manufacturing products and things like gray market and counterfeiting and warranty returns, that same data, that same tracking data where you're connecting one specific label to one specific customer can also be used in marketing as well. And it ties in really well with these applications that we talked about at the beginning of the webinar. So intelligent labeling, it does let you connect your label to your consumer on a granular level. It lets you get down into a specific product, down to one specific customer. It has that ability. Doesn't have to, but it does. It is available if you want to go down to that granular level. And again, just some wrap up here. It does give you digital capabilities beyond the limited real estate on those labels. So even though you may have a 3-inch label, that you're trying to communicate some information on, you're basically limitless in a type of information that you can push out digitally. So whether it's videos or those 3D animations or like Mark was talking about, specific information about that product, we can do that with that small label. And I don't want everybody on the call to just be limited in thinking that it's manufacturing, because we've had discussions in the food and beverage industry too, where we're talking about, letting people know where that particular wine may have come from, when that wine was made, or, when a cow was the one that provided the meat. And it makes these types of interactions with your customer, lets them feel close and connected with that product that they're engaging with. And again, it does allow that brand engagement. This type of technology does let you engage with your customers that way. And of course, the track and trace solution, it is a one-to-one kind of solution. And I mentioned it before, I'll mention it again really quickly. There is a low per label cost for this technology. I believe we're going to have a web page set up that kind of talks a little bit about the pricing breakdown and how we can go across getting this into the consumer's hands at a very, very low cost, especially for the people that are purchasing labels on this call. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and close out the discussion. We'll go ahead and open it up for some Q&A. So there is a question and answer box that's available on the webinar. So if you have any questions, go ahead and type them out to us. I do see that a couple came across already. So let me just go ahead and answer one of them right here. Yes, this recording is happening live. We are actually here on the call with everybody right now, and it is being recorded, and this event will be shared afterwards. So if you missed any part of this, or if you need to share this with another colleague, we can certainly make that recording available for you to share out. So that will be the case here. So let me gather up some questions here. I do have one already. I think, Mark, this is a great one for you to address. This person has a cosmetic brand that they work with, and it says sometimes they see their product being sold on eBay or Craigslist. How can the system help stop that activity? I think this is a great question for you to address, Mark, if you can.
Yeah, thanks, Sergio. So this is the typical gray market or product diversion activity that you see with all brands around the world. I mean, everybody suffers from this a little bit, but there's a lot of brands out there that are fighting back and trying to take ownership of their marketplaces, because they understand that if they can own the marketplace, they can control the pricing. And that's very important for the brands who actually sell online as well, to be able to control the pricing online. So the way that you fight these kind of issues is through a secure serialization, tracking, and tracing solution. So being able to identify at which point in the supply chain a product left and ended up in an unauthorized marketplace is the key to controlling those marketplaces and making sure that your distributors and retailers adhere to the agreements that you have with them about selling in their own region or in their own marketplace or selling online. So the secure track and trace solution is the key to fighting gray market and diversion of products. And it really has to go one step back from that, because the typical get out of jail free card for a diverter or a gray marketer is to say, it's not me that did it, it's your factory. Go talk to your factory, they're shipping product out the back door. Which is why the iTrace solution goes all the way back to the factory, so a brand can say and ensure that the factory is secure and the product left the supply chain at that distributor or at that retailer that was identified by looking at the track and trace solution. So a secure track and trace solution is the way to control gray market and diversion, and that enables you to control the pricing of your product in the marketplace, not the diverters and the gray marketers who are selling at heavy discounts.
Very good. Thank you, Mark. Let me go through some more Q&A here. Looks like this one isn't a question, but it says the counterfeiting aspect is amazing. Yes, we definitely do agree, and I think this is a great use of this technology. Ties in with the next question: is the Lightning Label code a sticker or engraved? The nice thing is it can be either. So obviously the Lightning Label version, we are providing this on a label. So it is a printed label that we can put this code on, but it doesn't have to stop there. Back to what Mark was talking about a little earlier, you can actually engrave this same label or that same 2DMI mark on the product itself, which answers another question here. I think it was discussed, but can you do this covertly instead of using a branded marketing app? Yes, you can do this covertly. So kind of tying all three of these questions in together. Can you take this code and put it on a label? Yes, you can. Can you engrave it? Yes, you can. Can it be covert? Yes, it can. So this technology, this 2DMI mark that Mark Manning has created, is an amazing technology that does work very, very easily with different uses for products. So let me just go through a few more questions here. This is great. We got lots of questions coming in. Can the videos be on top of label? Can the videos on the top of labels be scanned on any phone, Android or Apple? Is it responsive? Great question. Yes, it does work with iOS and Android devices. And again, going back to what I mentioned, you can do this not only with a custom app. So if you have an app that you already have created, we can add this technology into an existing app. If you don't have an app and you want to create one, Lightning Labels is there for you. We can create this type of technology and implement it into a custom branded app for you. Or if you don't want to do the app and you want to just make it simple, we can do that web AR experience where we're just going to put a QR code on the outside and play a video that way. I will make a mention though, because the track and trace technology is proprietary, that does require some customization. And there is some work that has to be done on that side, and there is an app that you have to use. We can make it web-based, but those are conversations that we'd have to have on an individual basis with your brand and decide what's going to be the best use for you. Okay, give me 1 second here. There's quite a few questions coming in. Let me just go through these real quick. This gentleman works with a manufacturer that works with large and small brands. Are there minimums that make using this technology worth it? So two answers to that question. If you're talking about the augmented reality and that type of stuff, you know, that's a pretty low price point to begin with, so it's really easy to implement that type of technology. If we're talking about the track and trace solution and the cost involved in that, you know, contact us. We can work with you, and what we can do is if you are representing multiple manufacturers, we can set this up where we can provide a group of codes, and then you can distribute those as you feel necessary. But that is definitely a conversation that we should have offline, because there are solutions that we can come up with you available for that. Give me 1 second here. Let me just go through some more of these questions. Can the QR code be as small as a 2DMI, or does it have to be bigger? There are some limitations on the QR codes. I believe, if I remember correctly, they have to be at least the size of a nickel. I think that is the resolution that the phones are capable of doing today. I know the iPhone 12 can actually read a little bit smaller than that, but there is just some resolution issues. But we can also run some tests for you and run some QR codes, and you can see what they look like and make sure that they fit properly. Give me just a second here. Let me get some more questions coming in. This is great. I love reading all these questions. So we have a gentleman here that works at a cannabis brand in California where it's legal, but the state has compliance checks. Can this software help us with our compliance reporting? Mark, I think this is a great question for you. We kind of touched on it a little bit in the presentation, but maybe we can get into it a little bit more in depth. So let's talk about the compliance that can be done with this type of technology, the track and trace solution.
Yeah, sure. So part of the technology that we're implementing is blockchain technology, and blockchain technology creates an immutable record of a transaction. And it's the same technology that underlies the cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Monero, those kind of cryptocurrency technologies. So it's a very, very, very secure, immutable ledger that can't be changed. So as we're recording the transactions of what is happening in manufacturing, what is happening in distribution, what is happening in retail, that distributed digital ledger is capturing all of that transaction information. And that transaction information now creates proof of where an item was sold, when an item was sold, who it was sold to. And being able to collect that data gives you that information about that particular product, not just the batch of product, but the individual items that are being tracked, to understand if those products are sold in the authorized marketplaces and are meeting the regulatory compliance obligations that the brand has. If those products are being discovered or found in other marketplaces, the technology is then able to identify how they got there. And that helps with the regulatory and compliance issues around, being able to sell your products only in a particular marketplace. And it puts the burden then on the people that are selling those products in the unauthorized marketplace. And that's the beauty of a blockchain digital ledger, is it's an immutable trusted record of transactions that can't be altered. So we're collecting that information as the product is being manufactured, as it goes through distribution, as it gets sent out to retail. So all that information can be provided on a dashboard or in a report that can be generated to show the compliance with the regulatory requirements of a particular brand and a particular product.
Great. Thank you, Mark. Well, we're coming right up here on 45 minutes, which is kind of what we had planned. It looks like we've got most of the questions answered here. Just a quick couple of updates for you. So again, this recording, this webinar will be recorded or has been recorded, and it will be made available afterwards. There will be a landing page that'll pop up after this webinar concludes. So feel free to go ahead and visit that webpage for some further information. There'll be some contact information there. Should you have any further questions, there will be a quick 2-question survey that pops up at the conclusion of this webinar too. We'd love to get your thoughts on what's next. We are planning on having a further in-depth discussion on track and trace, like I said, probably in January, so we'll keep you informed in that. If there are any questions, please go ahead and reach out to us at that webinar address that pops up at the conclusion here. Excuse me, not webinar address, web address. And with that, I think we'll go ahead and close it out. Mark, thank you very much for your time. Everyone on the webinar today, we appreciate your time and thank you for letting us share intelligent labeling with you. And with that, we'll go ahead and conclude and have a great day, everyone.